Frank, what sticks out in your memory of baseball in your early days, particularly when you started with Brandon Cloverleafs?
I think just the baseball when we were young. I was born on a farm, and when we were young, we played catch all the time, and played scrub games with cousins and family. And then my father, we were in a 4-grade high school, so my father and mother wanted me to go to Brandon because my older brother was going to Brandon College. So I went to Brandon for my senior high, grade 10 and grade 11, and that's when I first hooked up with a bunch of young men who decided to form a ball team, and that was the Brandon Cloverleafs. And I'm sort of a charter member, and I always think of those days as just wonderful days. We started out with black baggy pants and white T-shirts, would you believe?
Right.
And different baseball caps. And of course, I wasn't a Brandonite, and I can remember the first game I played with the Cloverleafs in these uniforms, so to speak. It was down at Ninette, Manitoba, and I brought my own 34-inch bat. Well, my first at-bat, I hit a triple. And I think Jim Slevin, who was managing and who organized the club, I think he thought he had a 600 hitter. But I've never forgotten that day, and as a matter of fact, we ended up winning the tournament, a bunch of ragtag kids, and that was the start of the Brandon Cloverleafs, and we certainly had some wonderful years.
We more or less associate you with Hamiota, though. That seems to me is where most people think of you in terms of baseball.
Yes, isn't it? Because the Cloverleafs, I guess, well, we played in the Central Manitoba Baseball League and won it so many times. I don't know why that was, but I moved there, of course, after I graduated from university. And accepted a principalship my first year of teaching. So, yes, I had a good career at Hamiota as well, but some real good memories from both teams.
After the Hamiota days, and trace it for us, where did you go from there?
I went to Carman. Right. I've been in Carman for 28 years. I put my sons in baseball in Carman and did some coaching and umpiring for minor ball. I guess I was president of minor ball for a couple of years, and then I sort of managed a team that went to the Western Canada Playdowns, and we had the name, of course, the Carman Gold Eyes. And but in Carman, I was just more of a. I had about 14 years of competitive baseball. And I loved that. 14 years, about 7 with the Cloverleafs and 7 with, and many memories.
Never thought of coaching or umpiring or anything of that sort?
Well, I did a lot of that in minor ball.
Minor ball,
yes.
Sure.
I did a lot of coaching and a lot of umpiring. My playing days, I just gave it up when we started a family. Yeah.
As you trace the history of baseball in Manitoba, do you think it has evolved and changed a great deal from your day to the present?
Yes. Probably one thing only. Just in the heyday. It was the heyday of baseball, I say. The Mandak League was playing in Brandon, and there was some tremendous ball teams in western Manitoba and in northern Manitoba, and there was a lot of professional teams, and of course they played in eastern Saskatchewan and western Manitoba. And I got a great story from Indian Head, Saskatchewan, because there used to be a big tournament there that is certainly worth telling. And it was a July 1st. They always had what we called a semi-pro tournament there. In 1955, they had what we call all amateur teams. And so the Brandon Cloverleafs entered that tournament, and we were really playing well at the time. And I'll never forget, we had one game the first day, and the second day was the final day of the tournament. We played at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the temperature was 90 above at 10 in the morning. We were playing the Regina Red Sox. The game went 9 innings, a full 9 innings. It was the bottom of the ninth. The game was tied going into the bottom of the ninth, and we had last bat. We had a man by the name of Stevie Clark who played with the Brandon Grays in the old Mandak League, and he played out his career with the Cloverleafs. Well, we got the first 3 men on base on the bottom of the ninth, and Stevie Clark was on third base, and our cleanup batter, Don Hunter, who was a tremendous long ball hitter, was at the plate. So our manager, Jim Slevin, went out to third base, called time, and said, "Look now, Steve loved to steal home, loved to steal bases. Don't get picked off. All we need is 1 run. We got Donnie Hunter at the plate." And so old Steve said yes, and the very first pitch, Bob, Steve Clark, and he stole home. And that was the winning run, and that put us into the afternoon game, and then we went on to be in the finals. And in the final game, you wouldn't believe this, that Paul Dojak, the football CFL referee, was the umpire behind the plate, and Johnny Esau was broadcasting the game for CKCK Regina. And that game ended up in a 4-4 tie. They had a man by the name of Frank Germain catching, and it was Wilcox, Saskatchewan, Notre Dame.
Sounds terrific.
And we just had a great tournament, but was it hot? And I think there was a lot of fluid flowing that night. But we were very proud, and I think we split first place money at that time.
Frank, what does it mean to you to be a member of the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame?
Oh, it's a real honor. I was a contact hitter. I'm not a long ball hitter, and I could bunt both ways, push bunt, drag bunt, and I could run bases. And I always batted second in all my career. Even when we played fastball, I batted second, and I guess because of my ability to bunt and to advance runners. And those just were great days, and I think the Cloverleafs, we played in the old Brandon Kinsman Stadium. And one other thing that I have to tell you is, of course, you've been in there, and there was some great Mandak games there. But some of our people, the amateurs, could hit the ball out of the park, eh? So one night we had a fastball. We were playing Neepawa, and we had a fastball pitcher throwing against us. And I loved to pull a ball when I got a hold of it. And I put it over the left field fence, but it was about 2 feet foul, and that was my only claim to being a long ball hitter.
Yeah.
With the Cloverleafs. But we loved our playing at Kinsman Stadium, and in those days, my first job when I went to Brandon was working at Kinsman Stadium in the old Mandak League for $1 an hour. And of course, I loved baseball, loved fixing up the diamond for Mandak games, and I took that job because we used to go to ball tournaments. You talked about the good old days. In the 50s, you could go to a ball tournament almost every day. And I'll tell you a little story when we were at Hamiota, when I was at Hamiota. But you could go to a ball tournament every day. And so there was a bunch of us who played with the Cloverleafs. Naturally, some couldn't get off work. So we would get together and maybe combine with another team that was short. And that's why I loved my job, because Jack Barnes, who was my boss, he said, "Look, You got to get your work done.
Get that done first, yeah.
And when that's all done, if you come at 5 in the morning to get it done, that's fine. So he would let me go as long as I made up time and as long as I did my work. That was a wonderful time with the Cloverleafs.
Some stirring baseball memories from Frank McKinnon, a member of the Manitoba Baseball Hall of Fame.